YouTube is really something, but it hasn't yet gotten to the point that you can build an offshore development team just by watching a video. That's where John Treadway comes in. He is the CEO and founder of Squad Gurus, and welcome to the Language of Business.
Thank you, Greg. It's great to be here.
What does Squad Gurus do in terms of offshore development?
What we do is we take our clients through a process of where we understand what they're looking for, the types of capabilities, their culture, their technical needs, and then we go out to our network of partners and we match our clients to those partners. And think of us as a matchmaker that accelerates the process and reduces the risk and saves you a lot of time and money along the way.
You're not talking about a $5 app from Apple Store. You're talking about most likely hundreds of thousands or multi-million dollars of development that you need done. How often do you need to go overseas in the client site and sit down mano a mano to make sure the culture is a match?
A lot of this we're doing remotely, just the way that you can work remotely today for pretty much anything. So we can really get a good sense by meeting with the leadership team, the CEO, the CTO, the head of the development organization and delivery organizations to kind of understand how they approach things, how they approach the development and so on. And then really at the end of the day, the way that we really get to know them is working with them. So working with them with clients and making sure that the quality of the delivery is there, the velocity is there, and that anytime in any kind of relationship, you're going to have the occasional hiccup. How is it addressed? How is it managed? How are the expectations being managed across both ends of the relationship? And that's really where we focus, because things do go wrong. It's how you handle it that makes such a difference in whether or not you're happy.
As Squad Gurus gets more and more developed and you get a strong bench of partners, are you ever concerned that HYPR is going to go directly to DAC Digital and say, our contract's over, we appreciate what you did for us, we don't need you anymore, we're going to go direct?
Well, disintermediation in a marketplace is always a factor. It's always an issue. And at the end of the day, if a client wanted to go direct to one of our partners, we're probably not going to sue anybody over that, even though it's a contractual thing. It really has to do with whether or not we're providing more value. Can we bring them additional partners? Do we provide a customer success approach, and can we escalate and sit in the middle and act kind of, I guess, when any relationship goes sour, it's always helpful to have a counselor in the middle to help things happen, to help things be smooth and to work them out, and to deal with billing disputes and to deal with delivery disputes and to deal with, again, new demands coming along and helping HYPR and other clients strategize about what is it they need and where do they need. So we're currently actually doing some of that currently with this client and doing that with other clients as well.
Everyone's talking about ChatGPT and AI. Are you ever concerned that you will cost yourself your job because people can find your partners without going through Squad Gurus?
That's actually a really fascinating question, because AI is not one thing. It's thousands of different things. It's thousands of different use cases. It's different technologies, and the landscape is exploding. There was something on the order of $300+ billion invested in AI startups in 2022 alone. It's getting ridiculous. So think about yourself as a client, particularly in an enterprise context, trying to figure out, who do I go to help me implement and help me execute on an AI strategy for my business? What kind of services do I need? What kind of technology leadership do I need to have in my partners to be able to do this? Because I'm not going to find it in-house in most cases. I'm going to have to go externally. So our approach generally works for any kind of technology, but it's particularly valuable in a context of where there's a lot of diversity and a lot of confusion and things are moving so fast. We can stay up on it. So we're probably going to spend a bunch of time just in Poland and a couple of other local markets near Poland, Romania and some other places in Eastern and Central Europe, developing a whole portfolio of partners that can bring AI solutions to our clients.
Restaurants are reviewed via Yelp, vacation areas via TripAdvisor. In your line of work, who vets or measures your recommendations for partners?
So that's actually really our clients at the end of the day. Is if we have clients that are happy with us, they're successful, that's our reputation system. There are some search engines and reputation systems for services partners, but when you've got 25,000 companies on those, that's not really a discriminating audience. It's not really a discriminated environment. And that's what some of these directories have, 25,000+ companies. We've got a few hundred companies, and we're focused on getting to know them better and getting to know them deeply. DAC Digital, as an example here, has an advanced research team. They're doing machine learning, they're doing machine vision work, so we know the capabilities that they have, and it's different than some of the other companies in Poland that we're working with that have different capabilities around machine learning and AI that we might leverage for a different use case with a client.
What keeps you up at night the most about Squad Gurus?
I think the biggest issue these days is that things are changing very dramatically, and all of the people in this market, both on the client side as well as on the supplier side, are dealing with a lot of uncertainty around what's happening with artificial intelligence and generative AI, and how that might change or impact the role of software development in the economy. And we're seeing some very interesting impacts, and I think it's net, it's going to be positive, but it's going to be positive in a way that means that we're going to have to be smart about how we use this. So software development companies, whether they're in-house teams for a product or external, are going to need to think about how to aggressively use this technology to be faster and maintain their pace of delivery and velocity. And so that's where I think the real advantage is that artificial intelligence is going to increase the productivity of development. It's not going to replace the need for developers, but it's going to make developers a lot faster and a lot more effective. And my concern and what keeps me awake, Greg, is how do the firms that are out there, how are they embracing this, and do we know whether or not they're taking advantage of it and getting those capabilities in-house so that they can be good partners to the clients?
John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
John Treadway, the CEO and founder of Squad Gurus.
Are you a problem solver? Do you see the big picture and the small details? Want to turn big data into big decisions? Take AI to the boardroom. Translate rocket science into the science of business? Build your career at digital speed with a Master of Science in Business Analytics. Be ready for careers like analytics consultant, data science, analytics strategist, data translator, BI analyst, technical business analyst. 10 months and you're in business analytics.
If you're anything like me, after the number 12 or 13, you just throw your hands up in terms of trying to remember that latest password. And by the way, to add insult to injury, a year later, XYZ vendor is going to make you change it again and again and again. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a passwordless authentication system? Welcome John Paglierani, who's the VP of Engineering with HYPR. That's HYPR, all in caps. Welcome to the Language of Business.
Thank you.
You are the VP of Engineering. Where and when did HYPR get founded in terms of passwordless authentication?
HYPR was founded over 4 years ago to build a true passwordless authentication system for enterprises, so that basically we could eliminate the password problem in the industry, where people were forgetting their passwords, having to change them all the time, and basically they were insecure because people would write them down to remember them.
We've heard of this thing called the FIDO standard.
Yep.
What is FIDO for the layman out there, and how is it relevant to what you guys do?
FIDO is a standard that started several years ago to, again, fix the password problem and allow you to use a mobile device or a remote device which stores a private key, which is your identification in the system. And then you use that device to register with servers or services. And then from then on, that is the only way you can authenticate, by using your mobile device or your device with your private key. Most people don't know what FIDO is, but they now know what passkeys are. Apple has basically implemented the FIDO standard and relabeled the client side of it to be passkeys. So if you know what a passkey is, or if you've seen passkeys from Apple, that is basically what the FIDO standard is.
Yours, though, is a more elegant solution than the Apple standard passkey that you would get, correct?
Yeah, ours is targeted at enterprises because we not only protect websites like Apple passkeys do, but we actually allow you to log in to your desktop. We allow you to log into mobile apps. We allow you to log into all of your apps with a passwordless authentication system.
The focus of this episode is going to be on offshore team development. Why and how and when did you end up aligning with Squad Gurus, who is our first guest, John Treadway.
A little over a year ago, we were trying to hire or trying to basically expand our team. And as everybody knew, the US was getting really crazy with big companies gobbling up all of the talent. And you were just having a huge competitive problem if you were a small company trying to hire. So in turn, we started working with Squad Gurus to look to actually enhance our development team with offshore resources.
At what point does Squad Gurus remain in the game, or do they make the introductions and politely get out of the intermediary role? Help us to understand that, please.
We started our role with Squad Gurus, so Squad Gurus is acting as our intermediary. They're still in the middle because they facilitate all of the communication around the hires. They also have their own internal web system that allows us to post the recs. We obviously decided to stick with one provider. Squad Gurus provides you the ability to go with multiple providers, but having done this in the past, I feel like when you find a good provider, it's better to stick with one. But they, again, maybe they offer us the ability, if we're doing support, maybe we would go to a different provider. So we still work with Squad Gurus because they allow us the flexibility to work with other providers if we choose to.
This is fascinating. What specifically do you outsource to Central Europe? Is it hardware, software, or all of the above?
It's software. We outsource software development. And again, when we say outsourcing, we don't outsource a whole development team. We actually outsource a developer who then becomes part of our development team. So that was a very important aspect to this. It wasn't like we were just giving someone a project and saying, here, go build it and give it back to us when you're done. These developers actually get fully integrated into our teams. They work with the teams as part of the team, and they deliver pieces of the product as part of our Scrum teams.
How often have you or John, representing Squad Gurus, gone over to Europe to meet the people in person to shake their hands?
I actually haven't gone to Europe, but we have actually met the DAC executives here, and we recently had team meetings where we invited the outsourcers to come over. So we have team meetings because, again, everybody's remote. So we try to do team meetings with gathering people either in New York or Boston or wherever they're close. And the last team meeting we had in New York, we invited some of our contractors to come over, if they can come over, and meet the rest of the team in person.
It has always intrigued me that in any of the hundreds of languages that are out there, 2 + 2 always equals 4. It might be different phraseology or different words, but it always equals 4. Is coding truly universal? If you don't speak a word of somebody else's language, can you still get your point across? Or is there something that, if you'll excuse the pun, might be lost in translation?
One of the big things that we do is make sure that when we hire someone, the communication skill is there. This is hugely important. They have to be able to communicate with the team, because I have worked in places where the communication gap is hard, and yes, you can get a lot lost in translation. So this is why we choose certain areas where English is, a huge part of their culture, because basically, we want to make sure that we don't have those communication problems. So, again, because of what we're doing, we need them to become integral in the team, which means they need to be able to talk and understand and get their point across so the developers all understand each other.
I applaud sincerely what HYPR's trying to do. The US has gotten too expensive. They have outsourced to Europe. What happens if Europe gets too expensive? Where is the next bastion of team development?
I don't have the answer because I've done India, and I don't find India to be as beneficial or as economical as people think. Our goal is just to look for the best developers wherever they are at a reasonable cost. And again, we like the Europe because of the time zone closeness. The further away you get, the harder it gets to have a fully integrated team. So I don't know where the next thing is. I mean, I've heard South America, but everything is based on where the people are.
Given that you are in passwordless authentication, are you concerned if you go out of the United States that the code might be subject to hacking or something of that ilk?
You're always concerned. We do full background checks. We obviously, do full security reviews of everybody we hire. Anybody, even in the US, you have to be concerned with, that type of stuff, no matter who you hire. Again, the way our system is designed with public key, private key, it's not like having access to the software. You have access to everybody's passwords. So that's the benefit of what we're doing, is that the protection is in the algorithm in the system. It's not actually in the code. So given our code, you really still can't do much with the passwords or the keys that people have on their devices.
John, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
John Paglierani, the VP of Engineering for HYPR, based in New York.